Okay, welcome back. As a change from working on the hull, I thought I'd start concentrating on some of these deck structures here, including the deck ventilators as well. So we'll have a look at these next. So next up we'll have a look at these deck structures. There's a few of them in the associated photo etch. Now I've started cleaning up these two, but we've still got some work on them. We'll look at each of them in turn. Okay, so let's have a look at this part first. So, thing to note is that there's a front and back, and that's relevant because of the boat crutches. So the way to know is there's a little cutout here which takes another support, and you've got this brace here, so that goes to the front. I bored these holes out because it's solid molded, but the kit doesn't provide any skylights here. Pontos, which is these ones that I'll use, and MK1 models supply the skylight. The grill in the middle, the kit provides photo etch. I've got the Pontos which we'll use, and MK1 supplies that as well. And then the crutches, so they're slightly different. So that's why the orientation is important. So that's the front, and 65 is the front. So I'll use the Pontos ones as well. So we'll just clean up some of these sprue heads. And we'll sand them later. Because I want to fill these holes once we install the crutches. So for the crutches, I'm going to try soldering them together. We'll have a look at that now. I'll do one at a time too, so I don't get them mixed up. The first things first is we'll just clean the back side. And for that we'll use a fiberglass pen. And this will just remove any oxidation. And the connector points in these, or the fold lines, are very fine. You don't actually need to use a bender or anything. In fact, it wouldn't survive more than one bend by the looks of it. I'm going to use a solder paste in this instance. Give it a go. So I'm just going to put some on, and then we'll spread it out. The alternative to the paste is to use solder wire and tin one surface, and we might have a look at that. Okay, so what I've done is I've just made a little bit of a clamp or a push down so I can hold it in place without burning my fingers. Just apply the solder. It's actually not too bad. A wee bit of clean up on that one side, but looks like it worked pretty well. Slight gap on the edge here. I could come back in and just run the soldering iron on it. I'll see, I might do that. And a wee bit of clean up on that edge, but that's just unburnt. So we'll now install these. I'm just going to use super glue gel. And I've just double checked it. This is the front and this is the front. So it should sit in the center. Of course it needs to be vertical. So if it's looking at the camera, on by eye it looks fine, but then we'll do the same for the rear. If you was to get these two mixed up, I think the rear is slightly larger. The rear ones are going to be a pest, but the gaps at the front I think I'll try and fill now. So again, I'll use spray glue for this. See how it goes. There's also a bit of a mark in the bottom here. Okay, so we'll leave this to go off. So with the sprue goo set, we can now start cleaning up. So we'll just come in, pure. So you get the idea, we'll just keep paring off the excess. Then we'll come back and sand, but the inside ones might be a bit tricky. Don't have to worry so much about down in the bottom because we've got the grill to go on top. So we'll just finish the surface here. So I'll just use a 600. Not a great deal, just enough to use a 1200. It doesn't look too bad. So for the other side, obviously, it does fit. Again, I'm using it wet just to make it a bit less aggressive and finer. Okay. So we just need to try and work this edge here and then the inside. A wee bit rough on the top surface, but I think I'll call it that because remember there's a boat sits on here. Let's see if I can just clean up this back edge as well. Again, very little if any of this will be seen, but just enough to take off any sharp edges or... Okay, so that's fine. I think we'll call it that. The important is, or in my opinion, the important surface is the out one. Most of it won't be seen. This is a front, but there's bits in front, and then the back section, which is here, is virtually blocked off from view from the rear structure. So, because there is one or two little pinholes, a bit of gaps, but like I say, none of it will be seen. So I'll just do the base, because there was a few rough sections on it. See somebody, just a bit of flash or something just came off in. There's a funny edge of that. So this is almost done. I'll just give it a bit of a clean. Okay, we'll put in the side skylights. I'm going to use a micro crystal clear again. This will give me time to just move it about, make sure it's nice and square. So you don't get any PE in the kit for these parts. These are the Pontos parts. MK supply as well. I did have to just knock down a couple of lumpy bits But on the whole, it's not too bad. Okay, so the last thing to do now is fit the center grill. Now, the kit and the KA models look like it just drops straight in, whereas the Pontos, which we'll use, actually has fold lines. So I had a look at the picture, and it would appear these fold down, so this will lift the grill up. I finally got a pair of Tamiya bending pliers. I'd have liked the shorter ones, but I couldn't get a hold of them. So. Okay, moment of truth. Oh, yeah, it's going to fit in. See if I can get back out now. Oh, here we go. I'll just bend this a bit more. It's not 100%, or 100%. It's not 90 degrees fully, so I'll just put a blob. Doesn't matter if I touch the bottom, but I'll just put a blob in the corners. Push it in towards the corner. Okay, it's not too bad. That's it anyway. So we'll call this part finished, ready for prime and paint. So we'll have a look at this other structure here, G11. Now, the kit doesn't provide any other detail other than what's moulded on. Pontos don't provide anything, but KA models supply the two skylights and a door which goes onto one side. So we'll use them as well. So the first thing is we need to clean up or remove the moulded skylights. Actually, I might drill out the holes to the size of that. I'll do that and then we'll remove it. So I bored a 3mm hole. The plastic's really thick up here. It's like, so what I'll do is I'll just remove these ridges. I'll use a 600 first. So we'll just be methodical and take our time. So we're doing this sand on an angle. We just keep rotating the block so we don't form like a ramp. This will take a bit of time, but it's okay. Just sand away. Keep inspecting. Try and avoid the temptation to rub it back and forth. That's how you kind of go out a square. Just keep going one direction, just keep rotating. Okay, I think we're almost there. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. So, a little mark line in the middle, but maybe the plastic was sunk slightly. So I found that wet and dry paper used dry, certainly in the finer stuff, clogs very easily if you don't use water. A good way to clean it, other than wiping it on your jeans, because you know that's taken off the loose stuff, but I found just get blue tack. The blue tack restores it. It pulls out all the fine filings in between the grit, especially these finers. This is 600. So you just keep working the blue tack. If you can roll it across, and that takes the fine stuff out. But to get some of the deeper stuff. But as you can see, it cleans it up. So we'll just finish with a 1200. This is really fine compared to the 6. So we'll just put some water on it, and it'll stop it clogging. I find you get a smoother finish with if it's used wet as well. Not a finer finish, but a smoother finish maybe. It's looking pretty good. So hopefully it's nice and square. I don't know if you can see, but using the method we just saw, we've maintained a sharp edge here. If you start with the rougher ones, like sanding back and forth, you've got a chance of rolling this edge. Got a nice hard rigid surface, even if it was stuck down onto the mat or a piece of glass or something, and then just methodically work your way through. Pretty happy with that. I'll give this a wash out. But let's have a look at the hatches next in the door. And again, I'm going to solder them. We'll try a different method from the crutches we did on that main assembly. There's 2 folds and 2 joints, so hopefully you can see one end does have a rib, so that would replicate the ribs it was on the top of this. So again, we need to clean up that surface to remove any oxidation that would prevent a good bond. Just have to be careful of that frame. So just try to think of the best way to, I think I'll fold it this way. And I'll tin this surface and then fold that down. I think that's how I'll do it. So we'll apply the flux next. I don't know if you've seen this, I think I mentioned in some of the other videos, the DC Concepts flux. I've actually made it just to stop me knocking it over because it's quite a tall, thin bottle. And I put a couple of holes so I can just lay my brush in it. And I'll stick it in the end. So we'll just tin the one surface at the moment. We'll tin the other once we're ready to. So with some solder on the tip, we'll just flux. We'll just tin this surface here. Try and get out the corner because I don't want it to interfere with the fold. I'll just remove that in the corner there so I'm able to fold it. But hopefully you can see the solder. Okay, so I'll remove that blob. It was right in the corner because it would interfere with folding this over. If I get my holder downer. So it's looking pretty good. Again, I'll just clean up some of the edges a bit, other than that. So this surface has got the 2 ribs, because you could pose this open if you wanted, which means this goes round like that to form a frame on the back. So what I might do, okay, so the frame's slightly larger, so it forms like a border. If I do one on one side, just apply some flux into these corners. Just drop a sliver of solder. I'll have to take this up just to have a look. Okay. And then we'll apply the heat. And that's one hatch with the frame. Still haven't cleaned this up yet. That's how it's going to look. Okay, so we'll do the other hatch and the door. The door, so this will be the same principle. We'll tin one side, close it, and then reheat it. And then we'll fold this over. The way this folds is you need to be careful what way you fold it. So you close the door this way, and then you've got the hinge on the front, so you'd push the frame back that way. I had a comment to one of the previous videos mentioning MIG's Ultra Glue as an option for photo etch parts instead of crystal clear. So I might give it a try for attaching the skylights to this. See how it gets on. Now I've had this jar for quite a while, but I've never actually used it yet, so let's see how we get on. Hopefully, well, I guess a benefit is it will allow me time to align both hatches and skylights. I'm happy with positioning that one. So obviously whenever I apply any pressure, it slides out of position. See how it goes. So we'll do the door next. See, the trouble is that the door's now got a recess, the centre is not touching, just the edges. Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think it's starting to set up, so this one's moved again by the looks of it, maybe. Okay, so it hadn't set up. Look, I'm not sure about it. Maybe this is a wrong application, I don't know. It's not messing with it. We'll leave this one here, and then we'll come back. And then we'll come back once I've left it alone long enough to dry. So that just leaves this one here with the bolt crutch. I'll do the tinning on this one. We'll flux the top surface. Okay, so this one wasn't quite so successful, but for its purpose it's fine. I just need a lot more practice. So again, we just use super glue gel. So you can see the position is offset from the center line. So just be mindful when you come to install it onto the actual deck itself, what way around it goes with respect to the bowl. I'm going to leave this to go off. I've just noticed this horn here, it's got a bit of a bend in it. But I'll leave the glue to go off, and then I'll see if I can straighten it up. You can see it from that angle. So the next thing is to get these three into priming paint. So I did come back in and put in some spray glue just to fill that little remainder of the holes. So we'll just clean that up if we can. It's good as spray glue doesn't really stick to the brass, so you can slice it down relatively easy. So that was a lot easier than the large deck vent. So I might be able to come in with a 1200. Again, very little of this will be seen, if any, but if nothing else, it's good practice. So, okay, so what I'll do is I'll just use some CHL and glue them to cocktail sticks for prime and paint. These will be easy enough to snap off once we're done. And then we'll just stick them into some foam to hold them for the time being. Okay, onto the ship's funnels next. There's quite a number of parts and you want to make sure you keep them together so you don't mix things up. Just right off the bat, there is no straight vent here. It's a curved one similar to that. And then these baffles, or whatever you want to call them, at the top, we'll have a look at them as well individually. But here's all the parts cut out and some of the photo etch, and again, we'll touch on the photo etch. On the whole, the sprue gate points and that were pretty good, and they were fairly quick and easy to clean up. The fit on most of them is really good as well. Just one thing to note, on some of them, these pins were overly long, so when they were fitted together, you had a considerable gap. But just trimming the pin shorter fixed that. The only one it's given trouble, or will give troubles, because I haven't finished cleaning these parts up yet. These are the last, is these rings. It's sit on top of the shafts, and the sprue gate is terribly positioned here. It's right on the edge of the curve, but there's also a step detail here as well, which trying to clean up is going to be very difficult. For the 1905 version, if you look at the title card at the beginning of this video, there's actually the back 4 vents have these funnels on them. And again, these were well molded and they'll clean up very easily. But we need 4 of these. The 1904, I think they all had these funnels. Just as a note, I actually printed one of the pages out and marked them up because it's not always obvious what funnel from this goes where, because they show you in one orientation but they spin round on the next orientation. Okay, so let's glue up and tidy up and finish these deck ventilators. So we'll just use Tamiya thin for this. Good squeeze. Press it on the bottom just to square it up. It's a wee bit open at the top there, but we'll just come in from the back. Camera's not focusing now. Okay, so we'll let that go off. Okay, now it's glued up. What I've been doing is, even though this one's very neat, I've been filling the line with a sprue glue. Some of them where you've got a circular shape, but it's got quite a distinct bend in it, there's been gaps. So I've just been filling them all anyway, because after I clean them up, and if there's any gaps appear, I don't want to have to go back in and rework them. So also, the majority of them on the edges here, top, you can actually see it in the bottom. It's like the sharp edges, the plastic shrinks back out of the mold, so you're always got like bits of dip. So I like to build it up anyway. So we do the ends first, and like I say, you have to remember this might shrink back a bit, so that's a good view of the divot or that sink. So it's good to build that up so there's no gaps. And we'll do the top as well. Don't have to worry about the inside because the ventilator cap kind of covers the majority of it, so you don't have to worry about doing that inside line. Just build up a wee bit more than you'd think, just in case it shrinks back. It's easy to clean up anyway. And then we'll just go apply the sprue glue to the seam. Like I said, even though it looks good in this one, in these finer ones. Don't have to apply it too heavily. It's a bit extra work, but see, that looks like it's cleaned up really well, but a bit lighter on this inside edge because it'll be harder to clean up. So with the sprue glue set up, we'll start cleaning these up. So first things first is we'll sort the top and bottom, slice that a wee bit just to get a bit more level. And we'll just square the base. This is 600 again. This is my favourite combo, 600 followed by 1200. That looks pretty good. Hopefully you can see it's sitting very nice in the mat. We do the same for the top. Just be a bit more gentler here. We don't want to lose the flat surface or the verticality or the horizontalness of it, so it doesn't really need much. We'll have a look at the funnels shortly, but they need a lot more work on the top. And then we'll just go through with a knife, scrape off the majority of it. Just work at a section at a time and being careful not to dig in. So that's the majority scraped off on that side. We'll just do the same for the back. So with all the rough scraping done, we'll now come in, do some sanding, finish it up. So again, working out a section at a time. We'll do the flat surfaces first. And then this side, we want to be careful of the inner curve. We don't want to lose that. It's looking quite good like that. So using a skinny stick, or I'm not sure where the grit is on this side, we can then come in and do the curves. Because as you can see, the foam conforms to the bend. Then we just want to be a bit careful up near the very top, because we don't want to lose the thickness. That's looking very good. And then we'll do the same for the back side. I have to just clean this up again. There's a bit of a... So this last inner section, we'll just roll up some paper. So this is 600, just into a bit of a tube. We'll dip it in the water. It's looking quite good. So again, we'll go to the 1200. Just give it a finish. I keep banging on about using water with the wet and dry, and certainly using water reduces the amount of scratching. So when you work up the grits from say 600 to 1200, the 1200 doesn't need to work too hard to remove any excess or deep scratches that the 600 left, because the water seems to smooth it better. So okay, so I've dried it off. You could come in with the buffer polisher. So you can probably make out the faint joint line. You're probably thinking, gee, after all that work, you can see the line. But I think that won't show through on the primer paint. It's looking nice and square. So we'll move on to the ventilator caps. I'll call them caps, I'm not sure what they are. But these have all been cleaned up. There was a turbo position for the sprue gate on these, but a bit of time and they've come out not too bad. Hopefully you can see there's a couple of slots in there. So that's for these photo edge, I'll call them baffles or deflectors. So I haven't fixed this one yet, it's still loose. So the kit provides these, Pontos provides these, and KA Models provides them as well. Now the kit one is quite a sloppy finish. This is a KA model and I'm going to go with this one because they're the only ones who provide this top plate with the holes in it, which I think is a really good look. So I'm going to go with this, and that would sit on the cap like that. Now, because that's the ones I'm going to use, as you can see, if it's more or less centered, or maybe you can't see, but if it's centered, you've got a bit of a gap where that two slots are. So I'm going to fill that gap with sprue glue. The baffles themselves, the three styles, or so the one style, the three companies, the profile is all slightly different. These ones are quite high compared to some of the others. I can't remember what one. Some of them are a reduced height compared to this, but we'll use these ones anyway because, you know, it'll fit onto that plate, which I think looks a good finishing touch. Okay, so we'll just fill in the gaps with the sprue glue. Again, it's a lot of extra work, but I think it's worthwhile. And even if it's not, it's all good practice. Try and keep it back from this edge here. And in fact, it doesn't need to come all the way in because it's only this edge here it's on view with the plate. Now, we may have to come in and do another application depending how it dries. It might shrink back a bit. But again, it's pretty quick and easy. Okay. So with this sprue glue set up, we can just come in and trim this back. And then, as usual, the sanding. Doesn't need a great deal. And then the 1200. I hope you can see, that's your fill lights, but I can see the two original slots, so that's that done. And then they would fit onto here like that, so. So the next thing we'll do is prepare the baffles for soldering. So we just clean up the surfaces. And we'll do both sides. And then what I'll do is hold the baffle between 2 bits of MDF because I want the vanes of the baffle to be 90 degrees to each other. And we just need to make sure that it's flush top and bottom. And then we'll apply the liquid flux. Then we'll apply little slivers of solder into the corner. Then we'll apply the heat from the rear side. That was it. It was really quick. So as you can see, it's not too bad. A nice smooth bead. A wee bit of bleed. A nice bit of bleed actually through the other side. Nothing in there. It's looking good. Okay, so the next step's to attach the baffles to these plates. So as you can see, there's little slots in there that the baffle sits onto. Now there's a couple of ways I can see to do this using solder. And we'll have a look at both of them. We need to clean up the slots. Slots are a lot finer than I thought. So the first method is to pre-tin the slots. And Then we apply the heat to melt the solder. I'll do that one again because it jumped off. Actually coated with iron, but anyway, so that's that. And then if we place this on to where we just tinned it and then reapply the heat. That kind of worked. It's a lot of effort, but I mean, there's no way it's like coming off, so I think it's not too bad. The other method I was thinking of is to tin this part instead of the plate, so we'll give it a try. With the solder on the iron this time, we can just a bit more. We can just tin the edges. Then we place it on and heat it up. Ah, so that's far better. I mean, there's virtually zero excess solder. Okay, so that's the way it'll go, I think. Just tin the baffle instead of tinning the plate. It's very strong now. A lot stronger than CA. Obviously CA would have been finished hours ago, but it's up to yourselves. But like I say, it's more for soldering practice, so. Okay, so that's one finished. So that's most of the baffle soldered up now. Certainly refined the process as I moved along. The tiniest of solder slivers is the way to go. But now that we've got that done, we can start adding them onto the ventilator caps. So I'm going to use the ultra glue from I'll just put little dabs around the circumference. We'll just eyeball up that it's centered. Oh, it looks to be okay for that one. So the last part's the funnel. We need 4 of these. And again, the gluing up and cleaning up is the same as for the other parts. So the kit actually supplies these grills, which are actually pretty nice. And they fit in pretty good as well. Pontos don't supply anything, but what I'll go with is the KA ones. And they cover right to the edge. And again, they look really good. The reason I'll go with these ones is, with the kit part 1, the border is very thick. I mean, these would be thin sheet metal in real life, I think, so we'll go with the wider one. And again, I'll use the ultra glue. So I'll just put some glue on the inside edge. Just don't want to squeeze up. And I believe, from what I can understand, they were on an angle as well, or 45 degree. Just seeing if it's about right. So a very nice fit. I mean, pretty much flush all the way around. Okay. So we need to glue the funnel onto the ventilator cap now. So these 4 I didn't bother filling in because of the flange here is wide enough to cover. So we just need to make sure it's centered. And I'll just use Tommy extra thin for this. Let's put enough on there to get it started. And then we just need to make sure it's even all the way around. So I think that's pretty much it. So we'll just okay, we're almost there. So what I've done is I just put my sheet down here for the orientation. And this is the bow stern. just so I can lay them out how they're going to go into the ship, because we'll now glue the caps on with the baffles. So I want to make sure I get them in the right orientation. So these 2 point forward, number 3 points rearwards and outwards, rear and out, and then 5 and 6 point forwards and inwards. So we do actually also have these 4 stumpy ones. There's 4 of them, but they actually fit on the funnel base. So I'll paint them up in that and attach the baffles, but we'll look at that funnel base down the track. And then these back 4 get the big funnels. So for the baffles, Pontos instructions have them in line with the deck. The kit instructions and KA have them at 45-degree angles. And that's how I'll do it. I think it looks a bit better. The funnels for the back 4, I'll just place all forward. Now I think in reality there'd be a gear with some kind of hand wheel and these could rotate into the direction of the wind or however you wanted to angle them. So, but just for neatness, I'll put them all pointing forward. And then it's a simple step of, they'll probably fall over it. So what I'll do is, they just sit in quite neatly like that. Then I'll just come in with a touch extra thin and lock them in position. Once I'm happy that the angle's 45 degrees to the flats. Okay. So with all the caps and funnels glued onto the ventilators, prepare them for prime and paint. Same as what we did for the other structures. We'll just use some super glue gel. We'll glue them on, and then when we're finished, ready to install, we can just snap them off. So that's all the parts prepared for priming and painting. I'll just number them so I don't get them mixed up. Also, now that the baffles and funnels are on, it's pretty clear now. So I'm going to use the usual Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 grey, and I put in some black just to darken it, because this grey is so close to the plastic, it's hard to see what I've actually painted in that. So, let's give it a... So we'll put a funnel next, because I really like these. The shapes of these are really nice, I think. Okay, I'll finish these up and then we'll come back. Okay, so that's all the priming done. I'm pretty happy how the parts turned out. They're looking quite good. One or two's got the odd blemish here, but I think they're fine. Now I darkened the primer so I could see the coverage on the plastic, but now the primer is a similar colour to the LP14 top coat, so I've just moved the problem a different coat. I won't bore you with montage airbrushing, I'll just get onto it now and we'll come back and have a look. Okay, so that's all the ventilators and the deck structures colour coded now. On the whole, came out not too bad. Happy enough with how it came out. I really like the look of these big vents. Oh, these couple of little boxes, I don't know what they are, and they fit between funnels, so I just need a wee bit of cleanup, but that was all. Okay, so that's these done now, anyway.